Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome in to another edition of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. We have a really fun show for you today. Reidel Anthony is going to join us. And also today, Coach Spurrier is going to join us. Coach Spurrier wasn't in on Monday, but he wants to make sure that we talk about all the things we want to talk about with him, and we're going to have him on. So that's going to be great. So 2 guests today, and then we got all of our other great stuff to deal with. And then, of course, Coach Spurrier will be back on Monday for a Meldon Monday. So we got a lot of stuff going on. Working on next Thursday's guest. I reached out to somebody, haven't heard back, so I'm going to probably move on from that. But it's fine. It ought to be a lot of fun. We're trying to give you good guests, and looking forward to another great weekend. And then we'll see what we talk about Monday. Well, we'll talk about the Super Bowl at some point. I know that. Okay, let's get to our Money Metals Exchange. Starting 5. We appreciate Money Metals Exchange for being a part of the show. Just coming on in February, and we're excited. Hopefully this can be a great partnership. Our Money Metals is one of the largest gold and silver dealers in the United States, and it's run by 2 Gator grads, so you can't do any better than that. You can reach them. The best place to reach them is at moneymetals.com. If you have things you want to get evaluated, sold, bought, buy some, either way, or you can reach them at 1-800-800-1865. If you call and you have a hard time getting through, just go to the website. But look, the phone number will work a lot of times. They're very busy, and we appreciate that. But look, there's different ways to get a hold of them, and they are doing a great job there. Again, 1-800-800-1865 or moneymetals.com. Let's get to number 1 on our Money Metals Exchange starting 5. And that is what a weekend we have set up. Now, I talked a little bit about next weekend and how crazy it's going to be around here. It's going to be spectacular. A lot of people are going to be going through football withdrawal, but there's so much going on that I'm excited about it anyway. Even if some of you aren't, I'm excited about gymnastics. The defending national champs coming here. So that arena, well, I guess it wouldn't be the same. Yeah, that arena on consecutive days will have the defending national champs. I didn't even think about that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how this weekend is another one of those really fun weekends. And this is why we love Gainesville. There's so much going on. In this case, a lot of it is not happening in Gainesville. We have the Florida Texas A&M game, of course. We'll talk about that a little bit more. That is obviously a huge game. That's Saturday. Super Bowl is Sunday. I don't think that's happening in Gainesville. No, Santa Clara. Gymnastics at number 7, Missouri. See what I'm talking about? Everything is out of town this week. The softball is starting its season Friday in Tampa. I'm excited. I am really excited about this weekend, but we're just have to watch it from afar. And then next weekend is just a crazy weekend. But it is still going to be a great weekend here in Gainesville to watch sports and to be part of everything. And, of course, it's Super Bowl. So we have that going on in the end of football season. All right, so let's get to number 2 on our Money Metals Exchange starting 5. And that is what did happen in the SEC last night. And I don't know if you got to watch the game. The Alabama A&M game was everything you hoped it would be. If you like going up and down the court, guys hitting threes all over the place, shooting threes all over the place. It's kind of what I thought the Florida Alabama game was going to be. That never got to that point because Florida just blew them out. It was a great game. The final was 100-97. For those of you who don't know, Alabama won, which is good for Florida because I think it jumped back as a quad 1. But anyway, the point is now Florida and Florida and Texas A&M will play Saturday, 8:30 for first place by yourself in the SEC. Kentucky's kind of sneaking up. They won last night, beat Oklahoma, which Oklahoma's just not 1-9 now. They are in the league. Um, I feel bad for him in a way. I mean, Porter Moser's got to be on some kind of a hot seat, doesn't he? I mean, you're 1-9 in the league. Look, this league can do that to you, and you get the negative momentum going, and you just can't. Like last night, they were in the game, and then they just fell out of the game. But that's kind of the way it's been. They're kind of like the women's basketball team of the men, because Florida women's basketball. Oh, you get so excited watching them play. Oh, this team, they're going to pull an upset, and then they just don't get it done down the stretch. I talked about that before, though. Anyway, it felt watching that game just on TV felt like about a Sweet 16 game. That's what it felt like. Two really good, talented teams. A lot of great players on that floor, and that's what it felt like. And then I started thinking to myself, if we get a Sweet 16 game this good, we're going to talk about it for years. So yeah, that was exciting. It was exciting to watch Alabama win the game. They were down. They came back. I give them a lot of credit for that, for fighting back. There was a lot of calls that went against them. There was a very physical game, and then it wasn't. It was like it was a physical game. Then they started calling fouls to start the second half, and then in the last 8-9 minutes, they went, there aren't going to be any fouls anymore. Everybody just banged. It was a weirdly officiated game, but I, as you know me, got to play around the officials. I am looking forward Saturday to watching this matchup, AG versus Chinyalu. If you haven't seen AG play, he is a load. He's a big dude. He's not and he can shoot threes, and he's got a good touch. He reminds me a little bit of Schweboy, a little bit. The guy from Kentucky that was just a beast. Um, but I'll take Chinyalu in that matchup, but that is going to be fascinating to watch. They've got a lot of good players. They play a frenetic style of basketball. They press you. I've watched them play a lot this year, but anybody who just watched them for the first time last night, you're going, wow, that's going to be tough. And it is. But Florida's going to run right with them too, and we'll see if Bucky Ball. And I don't know what the deal was with Bucky McMillan, but I thought he was in the original Spinal Tap for a minute. He had like this cold sore on his mouth, and it was pretty like invasive. And I was like, what? And they said a lot of guys have been sick, and a lot of guys have been dealing with all the way. And this is what's going on all around the country. I told you guys about how sick I was Monday, and didn't know if I was gonna be able to get through it. On Wednesday, I played golf. I mean, Monday, I am so cold, it's freezing. I can't get over this sinus infection or COVID or whatever it was. I still don't know. That's probably irresponsible on my part, but I wasn't around people. I did quarantine myself. I just didn't want to take another COVID test. I knew I knew what it was. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. The bottom line is, that's you got to just wait for things to change. That's the way it is in sports. That's why I love sports. That's why I love paying attention to the weather. Things that you never are unpredictable. That's the way I roll. All right, let's get to number 3 on our Money Metal Exchange. Starting 5, brought to you by Money Metal Exchange, the place to go for your gold and silver dealers. Again, operated by 2 Gator grads, so that's really cool. We've had a lot of good conversations about what we're trying to do here. So anyway, the news this week of Walter Clayton getting traded, and that certainly was I mean, it was a trade deadline. I don't know why the trade deadlines are the same for well, baseball's not so much a trade deadline. It's just free agency period. But hockey the same way, about the same time. Anyway, I don't know why everybody waits till the trade deadline to make these trades. If these are trades you need to make them. Go ahead and make them now. Make them tomorrow. Why do you wait till the trade deadline? But they always do, and there's always a lot. But anyway, Walter Clayton gets traded to Memphis. There's 2 things to think about that. One, Yeah, Memphis isn't very good. Two, though, Memphis is a lot. If I had a place to live, Memphis, Salt Lake City, I think I get along with people in Memphis better. So I think Walter will be fine in Memphis. But there were so many trades. I can't even talk about all of them in basketball. Um, but good luck to Walter out there. Anthony Davis traded to the Wizards. I mean, I think that's his final penance. They got Anthony Davis and Trae Young, and neither one can play. So it's weird. I don't know what the plan is there, but I we'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. I'm not that worried about it because I don't watch that much NBA. Regular season NBA, no. Postseason, yes. Porzinga for Kamunga. That trade happened. Kaminga. I'm sorry. Pazinga for Kaminga. There it is. That's the way to say it. That happened. I don't know what impact any of this stuff's going to have. James Harden, or Jimmy Harden, as I like to call him, got traded. Is anything going to change? I don't know. Is anything going to be more interesting? Not really. It's just guys getting shuffled around. Um, Harden to the Cavs, by the way. So that was the NBA. All right, let's get to number 4 on our Money Metal Exchange starting 5. And that would be that John Summerall had his first informal press conference yesterday. And I know he's tried to do one podcast a week, and he's going to get to ours, and we'll do it. And I look forward to it. And I'm not jealous of people who get before me. That's fine. They asked before me. And we'll have them on. But the press conference yesterday I thought was pretty good, because this was more John Summerall just first of all, and I assume this is true. I saw it on a tweet. He went up and introduced himself, or asked all the members of the media to introduce themselves so they could get to know each other. And I'm like, that's novel. I'm not saying nobody's ever done that before, but nobody's done it around here before. Um, so that's cool. I think he gets that the press matters, um, and that's going to be fun. That part of it's going to be fun. But I will say this: coaches, when they get a job like this and they come into a job like this, they're 100% work. They know they have media obligations. They have to deal with those, and they want the media to be part of this. And that's what Coach Spurrier used to say: either for us or against us. Yeah, well, we're not. We're not supposed to be either one, and we've tried to explain that to him. But now I can be, but we'll see. Anyway, going a long way to get nowhere. Two things that stood out to me about that press conference, though. Look, obviously, the one thing is that, well, actually, three things. So the one thing is that they've got 50 new players between transfers and incoming freshmen. So, okay, that's a lot of new blood. And how are you going to make that meld into a football team that needs to go out, in my opinion, and win 8 games? Now, I don't know that they can get to 8 games. I think the schedule's easier. Again, I've said this multiple times, and I'll say it again. And I was asked about this twice yesterday. Once in Publix. Where was the other one? Somewhere else. Anyway, what do you think about the Gators next year? And this year? And I go, I have no idea. I like their schedule. It's a lot better than it was before. I don't know how good they're going to be. I don't know how good they're going to be at quarterback. I have no idea. I know what Aaron Philo's numbers were in high school. I know that they trust him. They feel like he's going to be a good quarterback. Buster Faulkner feels like it. I know that Tramel Jones had flashes of brilliance last year, and maybe he wins a job. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. I know what other teams have done in the portal, but I don't know how they're going to work out. That's the great thing. The one good thing about the transfer portal is it leaves you wide open for ceiling and floor. The ceiling and floor, I feel like, for everybody, not just Florida, not just LSU, not just Alabama, anybody. The ceiling and the floor get more spread out. Like the ceiling gets higher and the floor gets lower. when you're, you know, counting on the portal so much. So that's what I mean. The floor is very low for Florida. Of course, they're almost on it right now after last year, 4-8. Um, that's probably the floor right now is right around 4-8. And the ceiling, I would say, is 9-3, somewhere in between that. And that's a big gap. Um, but we'll see how it all works out. I did love the Tebow joke. You know, the first joke he told here in his first press conference was a great joke that fell flat because people didn't quite grasp exactly. That was a joke about, I've talked to Lane Kiffin. He agrees I'm the right guy for this job. That was a good joke because, I mean, all the Kiffin stuff that had been happening. The joke he told yesterday was even better, and it got laughs from the media boys, which was somebody asked him about what's going on with all the college players. Are you a pro player? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, I was going to save this, but we're getting Tim Tebow to get another year of eligibility so we can use him on short yardage, which was funny. And people have been doing memes about other things. One of them had Steve Spurrier dressed up as a Gator, ready to come back. So, I mean, look, that was a good line. That would be great. I was thinking about doing that for patreon.com/Dooley noted. The 5 players you'd want to have back, because really, you could say Javon Curse. I mean, Javon Curse looked great when I saw him. I saw him a few months ago. Lost a lot of weight. No, I don't want that Javon Curse. I don't look. You'd have to get guys that have played in the last 10 years. If you really were serious about it, you would bring back. If you're Bradley Beal, I know he's had a lot of injuries, but you wouldn't bring back Neil Walt. Well, he's passed away, but I don't even know if you'd bring back Al Horford. You'd probably take him. So anyway, we'll see what happens there as we go forward. But the other thing he said that I found very interesting was when he talked about the SEC coaches are on like a text chain, and they were talking about how he was talking about how it's pretty clear that none of them they all feel betrayed by what happened. And I started thinking about it. Now, this is about the 9-game season, that the coaches feel like, hey, we signed off on a 9-game season, but we expected a playoff to be expanded. And that's what we were told was going to happen. And my thing was, well, I don't think the coaches vote on this, do they? The 9-game season. I think this is the presidents or the AD. Anyway, I'll look into that. But I don't know that it matters that you had to be sign off on it. Anyway, I'm talking about all the coaches in the SEC. All right. That is number 4 on our Money Metal Exchange starting 5. Let us get to our number 5 on our Money Metal Exchange starting 5, and that is the Super Bowl is this weekend. And I've talked about it. I'm picking the Seahawks to cover. I'm rooting for the Seahawks. And there will be a lot of discussion about Robert Kraft not getting in to the Hall of Fame, along with Belichick. And there's been a lot of discussion. Is this going to be a Brady backlash too when he's eligible? I think it's next year, right? Maybe it's another year. When he's eligible, no, they're not that stupid. That would be a bad, petty look. And I don't think these voters are going to do that. And if they do that, they're going to find themselves probably getting booted off the committee. Can't keep him out, especially because then he goes to Tampa Bay, and does what he does there. So that'll definitely be, and by the way, the word came out today that Roger Craig has been voted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, these are going to come out today in pieces, so there may be some that has happened that I don't know about. But Roger Craig getting in, I couldn't believe he wasn't in before. I mean, I covered the Super Bowl in Palo Alto, where he just was unbelievable, and he's the only or first player to get 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving yards in a season. Hey, you know, the numbers are there. I just remember him high stepping into the end zone in that Super Bowl against Miami. But anyway, we'll find out more going forward about who gets in and who doesn't. We'll see. Super Bowl it's going to be fun. You know, all this Bad Bunny controversy. I thought this was a great thing that somebody put out where they said, "Hey, you know, all these people are saying we need an American citizen to be doing the Super Bowl halftime. Well, Bad Bunny's an American citizen. You know who's not? The Who, the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, Rihanna. All those people weren't. No, you just want somebody who sings all of the songs in English. That's what it is. Look, I'm not a Bad Bunny fan. I don't really have any opinion about him as a person. I've seen him on Saturday Night Live. That's the limit of my exposure to him. But anyway, it's a controversy that shouldn't be one. Anybody they want to get, they get, and he comes, and it's good for the young people and to bring in viewers that may not be there. So I got no problem with it. Anyway, all right, let's take a break. Let's do that, and then we'll come back with Reidel Anthony, who's going to join us. We'll have a lot of fun with him. Coach Spurrier will join us a little bit later. This is another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll be right back after this.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
All right, it may be a new year, but it doesn't mean you have to back off any of your goals as far as losing weight. I know I've been working even harder on it, and of course I get an assist from BMI TeleMed. They help us out with our New Year's resolutions, even if I've already broken 2 of them. Not the food ones, though. Weight loss is your goal. Get with BMI TeleMed. They use GLP-1 medications, and they are individualized, and that's the great thing. I've been through this, and Charlie, just talking to him, it was so great to make him understand, and he understood what I was doing. It's not about just losing weight. It is about keeping it off. You know that. We're all excited about the new year, and we're going to lose weight, but when you lose it in the first month, then you got to keep going. BMI TeleMed is sensible. It's straightforward. It's affordable. No contracts or hidden costs. BMI TeleMed is donating $1 for every pound you lose to the Florida Victorious Foundation. So go Gators. I'll join the listeners on this podcast who've already lost over 600 pounds. Are you kidding me? I'm 60 of them right there. All right, contact BMI TeleMed today at 727-383-1677.
Give me 60 seconds and I'll show you why you should be buying silver and how to get started. Recent price spikes in groceries, healthcare, gasoline, steel, and lumber tell the story of inflation, as do raging bull markets in equities and housing. As the reality of all this inflation sinks in, investors will be acting quickly to diversify and protect themselves, their families, and their assets. That's why we're offering our Silver Starter Kit to help you get started in holding tangible wealth. This mix of our most recommended forms of silver includes 9 silver coins, totaling 4 troy ounces of fine silver. These pure silver coins have a low bid-ask spread, the difference between the price you pay to buy and the price you receive to sell. Low transaction costs are one reason Investopedia calls Money Metals the best dealer in America. Don't waste any more time. Start protecting your savings today with physical precious metals at moneymetals.com/go.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And it is great to bring in our guest, Reidel Anthony. You know him well from his exploits at the University of Florida. What a good player he was. One of the best to ever play at Florida. In fact, Reidel, I mean, you're a guy that I think also should be in that discussion, because I've had a lot of talks with Scott Strickland about we need to get the Ring of Honor more inclusive. instead of just limiting it to Heisman winners and guys who give you the most money.
That is true, and hey, I just wait my opportunity, and if it comes, I'll be definitely excited and, you know, just grateful for, the recognition. Because I didn't play the game for all that. Played it, you know, to hang out with my homeboys and some wins and losses, all the accolades, that stuff just come.
Let me ask you this question because I've always wondered about this, and that is the Auburn game in '95. Danny fumbles, throws a pick. Guys go down 10-0. He's coming off to the sideline. Coach says to him, "Are you trying to lose the game all by yourself, Danny? You run the kickoff back and make a move and bury a guy and run the kickoff back." And I just went, I remember leaning back and I go, they're going to be all right here. They're going to be okay. That must have been something to run that because you were just flying down the field on that one.
Yeah, that's the start of that game was very interesting because on the opening kickoff, I don't know if you remember, like Takeo Spikes hit me right in my mouth. Boom. I mean, I ain't never had no concussion. He didn't knock me out or anything, but I was a little not myself. So that led to me like dropping my first ball, and I was, just trying to get my wits back to myself. But actually, going out to return that kick, their student section was back there. And I went to their student section back in the end zone, pointed at a few people and put my hands up like, hey, I'm finna take this one back, watch. And hey, it just so happened.
You always had that level of, confidence in yourself. I mean, I'll never forget the shotgun look at the Fiesta Bowl. Did you get a penalty for that?
No,
Yeah, they didn't.
I
I didn't
never
think they
got
threw a flag. Yeah.
I never got penalized, but I always ended up on what not to do video the next year. And Coach Spurrier made it a point to show that video every year. And we're like, Reidel, can't do this anymore. And so didn't get a penalty, but I ended up on the video every year.
Well, it must have been interesting playing for Coach. We're going to have him on a little later, but it had to have been a lot of fun playing with him or playing for him, and just how innovative he was, and also, I mean, just how different he was.
Yes. No, it was great. People ask me all the time, how was it playing for Coach Spurrier? I'm like, shoot, I wish I could play for him my whole career. Like, he was such a player's coach. You was around him. He always had some jokes, straightforward. And he did the one thing that I don't see a lot of coaches doing these days, putting his players in the best position to be successful. They're a speed guy. If you notice, all the freshmen being quiz that could run, our first year we only ran like deep routes. And towards the end of the season, we gradually ran more of the route tree, but mainly we took the top off the defense. So to build that confidence, so then when you have to run the other routes, you're prepared, and it's much easier to catch it and run after the catch after you've gotten, you suggest receiving the ball. But I mean, and every Thursday or Friday, we had to audition for a play. And every time he called it playing the game was a touchdown. And this went on for 3 years. You know how creative he was. And he had this one play. Every receiver got in line from walk-ons, starters, whatever. Whoever ran it the best he thought, when it would come time to call that play, he put that person in, call the play, and you get a touchdown.
It's so funny how he could dial them up, Remember, well, this was after the time you were gone, but he had Jesse and Rex on the sideline, and Jesse threw a bad pass, and he said, "Rex, can you make that throw? Well, get in there and do it." They called the same exact
Yeah,
play, and they hit it for a
that's
touchdown.
it.
I mean, that is the genius of Steve Spurrier, though. He doesn't. If you don't like that you're getting pulled out, I mean, like playing the two quarterbacks in '97 and stuff like that. I mean, it's just pretty amazing stuff to go through. And
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, you know, when it was you and Ike and Quezzy, and I know you got the hats made up now for that. Um,
Mhm.
that was everybody wants to say, well, this is the best receiver group they've had. And I go, no, no, that is always going to be the best they ever had. This may be comparable, but it's not going to be the best.
Yes. All right, this group they have right now, they almost, they're a little different than us. In Dallas, he's a big kid that can run and make contested catches. BB, three, he's a do it all guy.
Yeah.
But I would love to see him make one cut and go instead of all that stop and starting. It's SEC. You keep doing that, somebody gonna come hit you in the back of the head and do some damage to you. So if he just go one cut and go, I mean, they won't catch him, and he will create more plays and get more yards. And those guys compared to us, like I said, they're different type of receivers, but they should definitely, improve this year and bring back, that Gator receiver. Just I can't even think of the word.
Yeah,
That
but
we had
it used to be wide receiver you. I
wide
mean,
receiver. You, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I ain't want to throw that out there because you got people from Bama and LSU. They're gonna get all mad. So,
Well, they can make an
but
argument now that their receivers are better than Florida's, but not back then. That was
no,
back in that time frame. And then Quezzy had the 1 year after you guys left, where he was by himself and he just caught everything. And Travis
yes,
Griff had that great year in '98, and
yeah,
it just kept going. Taylor Jacobs and Jabbar Gaffney. It was wide receiver you, but really hadn't been for a long time.
yes, and that's probably been one of our downfalls too. We haven't developed the receivers. I've seen some kids coming out of high school, their highlight tapes in some games that I thought were gonna go to UF and be, the next call and to bring us back. But they never developed for some reason. So, as long as these kids keep just develop, work on your fundamentals. All the one hand catching practice and stuff. Yeah, do that on your own time, but work on your fundamentals. Look the ball in to the tuck when you catch it in practice, because all that stuff carries over to the game. Because the game, you're not gonna look it in 7 out of 10 times. But if you do it in practice enough, you'll look at it in a fraction of a second. That now you catching everything, not some of them.
Yeah, exactly. I talk all the time about that Florida needs receivers, and I think they may have had a couple during the 2020 year with Trevon Grimes and those guys and Shorter,
Yeah,
but that do what Reidel Anthony did, which was climb the air. And everybody goes, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, Riddell would jump, and then somehow he would go a little higher as it's almost like he paused and get up because he wanted the ball so bad. And I don't know how you
yeah.
did that, and maybe it was just my imagination, but it felt like you were climbing the air.
Well, it just come from playing multiple sports. I played basketball all my life. Then also, my second favorite thing was track and field. Um, I ran the 100, 200, 400, long jump, and stopped high jumping my freshman year in high school. But I finished second in the state, jumped 23 feet 8 inches. So all that stuff was just natural, and just over the years, just doing it over and over and different sports, not just football. Cause like you say, you want to go up and get it. It's just like me trying to go rebound. Hey, I want the stats. I want the board and long jump. Hey, I gotta prepare myself up and out. So just all those different sports that I did over the years. Just carried and just kept improving.
Did you ever think about playing basketball here in Florida?
You know what? No, because I ran track.
And
So I
plus, they
ran
made
track.
Final Four in '94. So
Yeah, they had just came off Final Four. A couple of schools offered me, to come in and maybe play both. But I'm looking when I got to campus. I look, we ain't have this size in Belgrade. When I got here, the guard 6'3", and I'm like, oh no. Hey, I'm good on that. Hey, they're a little too big for me. But I did in off season go and play 5-on-5 with the team some. Cause one of my good friends was Eddie Shannon.
oh yeah, and
Came up from
he's
West
coaching
Palm.
at South Carolina now. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. But him and I played on the same AAU team, and then we also played against each other since middle school. So I would go in there and play with them, but nah, I ain't see myself trying to get to the rim like I used to and be able to jump over people when they down there 6'9", just standing there staring at me. So I had to, take the route of, you know, 53 people on the team or 15.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's 6 feet. 6 feet work better than 53.
Reidel Anthony coming to us on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, as will Coach Spurrier a little bit as well. But we do want to play yes, no, where, maybe with you before we let you go, and appreciate you taking the time. It is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Go street dining done the right way. If you go in there and say, "Hey, I heard Reidel Anthony on Dooley's podcast," you get free French fries with your order. Number one on yes, no, where, maybe, Reidel. Um, you you are, let me put it this right way. You're aware what the number 6 means in your career because you caught 16 TDs in the NFL, 26 in college, 126 passes in college. You won the national championship in '96, and you were the 16th pick in the draft. How about
Wow.
that?
How about that? Did not know that.
Well, I'm giving you stats. I still owe you because of all the food that your family gave me when I came down to your draft day.
Draft party and stuff. Yeah, that was a good time, huh?
You and Mike Peterson, the only 2 people I was able to sit in there with. That was really cool. Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
I remember you going back and talking to Ike Hilliard on the phone because you both have been
Yeah.
in the first round. That had to be a moment, man, where you went, "Oh, this is so cool."
Yeah, that was a moment. Like I say, you were there and you saw how the family, everybody was excited. But, I went, what, 7th or 8th? He didn't know that. I didn't know that. Then, I was Coach Dungy them called, talking about 16th. I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, wow, man, talking to him and, you know, thinking about, all the time we don't put in and, to share that moment with somebody you don't spend 3 years of your life with
Yeah.
every day pretty much besides a break. And it was more emotional because we were splitting up than excited about being drafted, because, the same thing with Fred. I spent,
Oh yeah.
what, 10 years, 15 years of my life with him pretty much every day. So to finally go to splitting up, it was more emotional about that than, to getting drafted because that really it don't sit in until you go do the press conference.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I get it. It's almost like the '04s when they finally announced they were leaving after winning back-to-back national champions in basketball. And those
Hmm.
guys, that press conference, they were just weeping because they wanted to keep playing with each other, but
Yes.
it was time to be grown-ups, you know? You know,
Yeah, and exactly. It's time to be a grown up, but you're like, ah, but you did make the decision to leave early. Shit. But I mean,
all right,
the pros outweigh the cons.
yeah, exactly. All right, number 2 on yes, no, where, maybe. When your dad Clarence was the mayor of Palm Bay, you thought you could get away with anything.
South Bay.
South Bay, okay.
Yeah, South Bay. Oh, no way. No way. I mean, you've been down there. You came to my dad's house. You see how everybody. So you got to think. Middle school, my auntie was a science teacher. My cousin was some teacher. Go to high school. The principal was the principal for my dad. Guidance counselor went to high school with my dad. The track coach coached all my uncles. And his son Ray McDonald. So that his dad. So no, I mean, I couldn't get away with nothing. And to prove that, I had got a speeding ticket before I came to college on US 27 coming back from Fort Lauderdale from something. Nobody ain't nobody. But on my drive up to get dropped off, my dad brought it to my attention that he knew I had gotten a ticket. So and it was a state trooper, not a city cop. So that pretty much answer your question. No way. I didn't do anything. No. They was gonna tell on me.
That's good to know. All right, finally, number 3 on yes, no, where, maybe. Danny Werfel threw the easiest ball to catch you ever caught.
Yes.
He always, I mean, he wasn't zinging it in there all. It was always right where it was supposed to be, wasn't it?
And that was the thing. He threw on time and he threw you open. When people say throw you open, watch him. Cause like you say, some of the time we wasn't even at our break. But he letting it go because he knew the area we supposed to be in and where he should throw it. Cause coming to our practices, that's all we worked on. You saw many times we ran those routes,
Yeah.
especially the corner route. Like, and that was the thing. And that's like a great characteristic for a quarterback to have anticipation and throw your receiver open. And these guys that's out here that trying to throw it 100 miles an hour. When I coach, what I used to do, I get the quarterbacks, put them on the line, same drills the receivers do. And I let the receivers throw it to them as hard as they could. Throw it to them hard. Now, you see how that feel? So when you trying to throw the ball hard, now you find full speed with full force. I mean, some gonna give most of the time. So I let them get a feel of it to let them know you ain't gotta overthrow it. You ain't gotta. Sometimes you gotta fit it in there, okay. But for the most part, if you just take your steps and throw it in the area and trust your receiver to be there, it's gonna work out 9 out of 10 times.
What did you say to that woman in Knoxville when you jumped over the? Can you repeat it?
No,
It's it's like you and Doring when he scored the Doring's got a touchdown. He did the same thing, and
exactly.
I'm not proud of what I said, but
Exactly. That's the thing. I remember seeing Doran touchdown, and I saw him, but he had hand gestures with his. My hands were on the wall,
yeah,
so
that
you
was
know.
that's one of my favorite plays of all time, though, because they're going for it and they're throwing it deep. Because Ike was running that crossing route, and
That it was supposed to go to.
yeah,
Yeah, it
he
was
just
supposed to
kept
go
running.
to the dig. I I was just clearing out, honestly. I really ain't look back for the ball till I was like 20 yards downfield. Then when I looked back, I saw Ike like pulling up. So then I looked up, I'm like, oh shit, he don't threw it. So then I'm like, well, I gotta run now. So I had to go get it. But yeah, I was not expecting that ball, and I was doing my job, clearing it out, because we were just trying to get the first down, but as safety bit down on it, and Danny saw it and took the chance.
Yep. That worked out
Yeah.
great. And it was next thing you know, it was 35-0.
Yes.
Hey, Reidel, as always, man, I love talking to you, buddy, and it was great seeing you recently. I saw you over at Spurrier's and the restaurant, and that was great. Just always great to see you. And you were very nice to come up and talk to the people I was with, and they really appreciated it. They felt like they'd met a
No problem.
celebrity finally.
Oh gosh, you should have told them they haven't met anybody.
Hey, do you have anything to plug? I mean, I know you have your training thing going.
Oh no, I just still do my Reidel Anthony receivers here in the Tampa area. Have a couple of guys right now. One getting ready for the draft, other one getting ready for they keep changing the leagues, the UFL or the XFL. And I also have been actually going to Ocala and working with a buddy Matt Fabian's his U9, U11U baseball team on speed and agility. So I do group training too. And I travel. And I worked in a gym inside so long, and I'm an outdoors person. What I do, I just need some grass, a track, and some cones and ladder and stuff.
There you go.
And we get to work. And I'm also in the process of training Nat Moore, Nat Moore, his granddaughter. She's going Division I in tennis.
Oh yeah.
So she lives in the Tampa area. So we've been working together for a few months.
Yeah, Nat and I are.
So if anybody want to contact me.
Yeah, we know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
Nat, yeah. I know all the old. You're about to be one of those guys. You're about to turn 50 this year, right?
Yes.
That'll make everybody feel old. Right now, baby.
I know.
Reidel Anthony's turning 50. Oh man, we're all so old.
That is true. I got there when I was 17 and left when I was 20. So yeah, these years have flown by.
They have. Well, this time has flown by too, because we can talk to you forever, but I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and good luck with everything going forward. And we'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 national championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila. Aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering. Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. And since it's we love our Meldon Law, and Meldon Law is also a sponsor of Coach Spurrier. He wasn't here Monday because he was out watching Scotty. I got to find out how that went, Coach.
Well, they haven't got organized quite yet. They start practice. They get about a month to practice. The first game's actually not till March 28th, that Saturday, March 28th. And they play 10 games. This is the UFL for everybody out there.
Yeah.
And mostly a lot of players have been cut by NFL teams, and they want to play and show their skills. So there's, I think, 8 teams in the league. Orlando's going to have one this year again, back when we had, of course, the Alliance of American Football when I coached down there. But anyway, a lot of a new team in Columbus, Ohio. So they want to compete with Ohio State for some fans, I guess. But anyway, it's pretty good football. And some of those players hopefully will get a chance to go to the big leagues after this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun. Is Bobby coaching that team?
No, Bobby's retired from it. And Rick Neuheisel has the.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's one of the big name coaches. Some of the coaches they've hired, a lot of people don't know much about them. And some of them maybe have never been a head coach before, but that doesn't mean they don't know how to do it. I think people get thinking a coach has to have all kind of experience and all this, that, and the other. I remember when I came here in 1990, the naysayers said, well, that guy's going to be playing golf all week. He can't coach football. And I probably did play a little more golf than most of the coaches, but we certainly didn't play during the week of games and so forth.
Yeah, no, I remember coming down there in Tampa Bay to interview you, and you were getting ready to go play, and you said, "Oh, but I'll do the interview." I forgot we were doing that, so we got it knocked out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wish you'd invited me to play though that day, because back then I was a better golfer than I am now. That's for sure.
Yeah, that season, the USFL, I think we played 18 games in the year.
Yeah.
So you had time to play golf during the season back then.
It is funny how the USFL, all these things that are going on in the NFL are basically USFL rules. You know, the challenge flag, the 18-game season. I mean, a lot of these things happen. The USFL was a really good league. I don't know. I watched the football in that league. I know what good football looks like. It was a good league.
Oh, it was good. A lot of people don't realize Reggie White played in it, Herschel Walker, Steve Young, quarterback for the 49ers that won a Super Bowl later. So it had each team could sign 2 players that would be first-round draft picks, actually. And and then some of them started signing 4 or 5, and so anyway, you could almost sign anybody you wanted to after a while there. But we had good teams. In the second year was our best team. John Reeves, quarterback. John threw for over 4,000 yards, and we had 2 running backs that gained over 1,000 yards. And I don't think that's ever been done by anybody since. So we're sort of proud of that record. And that was 1984.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was my first year covering the Jacksonville Bulls. Yep, and I think you beat them both times you played them that year.
Yeah, we did. We had a good game over there at Jacksonville at the Gator Bowl, it was called back then. And I think we scored 35 or something like that and beat them pretty good. So, yeah, we had a lot of good games in 84. And then 85, John got hurt a little bit. Reeves did. And Jimmy Jordan came in.
Jimmy Jordan, yeah, I remember that.
I had an FSU quarterback and a Gator quarterback.
Well, it was certainly interesting. I had a great time covering it, but I did want to talk to you about Coach Summerall had his first kind of informal press conference on yesterday, and one of the things he talked about, and then people were asking about him, is what is an eligible player now? What is, we don't know, and we're all sitting there, and he goes, we may get Tebow to suit up in short yardage. I mean, he's got to have eligibility left, but I mean, watching this from afar, you got to be sitting there going, "What? I don't know what's going on either. Just tell me who's playing, who's not playing."
Yeah, I think you're right. If some players want to come back to college after going to the pros, they all get paid nowadays. So I don't know if they're going to say that's permissible or not. What they're trying to do is keep the 4 years of eligibility that you play in college, and after that, you're probably ineligible. But I don't know exactly what they'll do since they're paying the players now. So just wait and see.
Yeah, well, 8 years, guys playing 8 years, 8, 9 years. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, if I could have stayed in college for 8 years, I would have stayed in college for 8 years.
Yeah, a lot of the guys, especially the quarterback Tennessee, is trying to get eligible. It makes sense. Stay in college as long as you can, and probably make a little bit more money than if you go pro right away. So, of course, it depends on if you're a starter and a great player or average player, whatever. But yeah, staying in college makes sense, I think now. Really do.
I saw somebody had put up a meme of your face and on a Gator quarterback jersey, and you said maybe Coach Spurrier is going to come back out and play, and I'm like, well,
Yeah,
you got to get that back figured out first.
Yeah, I think I'm better at calling plays than I am running plays. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
funny.
that would be
Face was probably me about now, and then I had a Gator uniform on. That was interesting. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to ask you about the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's Sunday.
Mhm.
I don't
I
know if you.
think it seems like all the experts are picking Seattle. They really are, and you got to be impressed with that coach, young guy there. His defense, they really play hard. They play smart, and the offense obviously plays well also. But New England, gosh, they found a way to win, and their quarterback Drake May from North Carolina, man, he's really done something. And I think he's only been there 2 years or so, 2 or 3 at most. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game, probably low scoring game.
Yeah, I liked him a lot in college, Drake May. I didn't know if you never know whether a guy's going to translate to the NFL or not. Like a guy like Danny, I thought would translate well, and he played. He got some time in. So
Well, the quarterback at Seattle now, he was with the New York Jets. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Sam Darnold, yeah.
Darnold, yeah. So I mean, nobody does well with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do much for the Jets. I don't know what it is either. It's almost as if they go there, they don't play very well, or they don't get coached very well. I don't know. I think a lot of it certainly has to do with coaching. But yeah, Sam Darnold's had an excellent year for Seattle, and looks like they got a great chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's funny because they just hired the Jets just hired Frank Reich, I think, to be their offensive coordinator. So, and he was at Stanford last year. It's just weird how all the coaching changes that you make. I mean, when you were a coach, you didn't have to make that many moves, did you? After the very beginning of it, where you had to move your whole family. I mean, you went to Georgia Tech and Duke, and then
Yeah, I had just a 1-year stop there at Georgia Tech, and then a 3-year stop at Duke, and then the USFL started, and then came back to Duke. So I was able to stay 3 years at a time at Duke and Georgia Tech, and then 12 years down here. 12 years at Florida, I'm the longest tenured coach in history, and Coach Graves is second with 10 years.
yeah.
So just South Carolina, I got 10 in there. Only one guy had more years coaching than that. He didn't win a whole lot. I became the winningest coach, I think, in our 8th or 9th year. But anyway, yeah, if you go 9-10 years, that's unusual. Almost any league now.
Well, if you add up Muschamp, McElwain, Mullen, Napier, you get to 12 years, I think. Doing
I got
that.
a feeling Summerall can do it. Yeah, I got a feeling he can do it. If he can win 9 games a year, he can maybe break Coach Graves' record of 70 wins. Coach Graves, I think, was 70-30. So he was the winningest coach of all time until fortunately I got a chance to break his record.
What was your number? 122?
122. That's correct. Yep.
So
I
that's
got
yeah,
52 more than Coach Graves. Yeah.
yeah. That I don't think that record's going to get broken. That
Well,
may be an unbreakable
yeah.
record there.
Well, they play more games now. So if you make the
Yeah.
playoffs, I mean, you can do like Indiana, 16. Woo.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody will ever do 16-0, but yeah, what they did was unbelievable, remarkable. If somebody said they're going to go 16-0, you probably could have got 1,000-1 odds on that easily.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. So who are you picking?
Seattle, I think, will win by a field goal.
That's who I pick. I picked them to cover, and I think I'm going to root for them. So I kind of like New England too.
I do too. Yeah,
I like Vrabel. You know.
yeah, I like the way they play as a team. And of course Seattle the same way.
Yeah.
The main thing it seems like these coaches nowadays is that get the guys to play together as a team, pull for each other, and I think both these teams do that probably as well or better than any of the teams in the league.
And then you got to wake up the next day and after the Super Bowl and start dealing with free agency. So
Get ready for the draft and free agency.
Yeah, because it's very fluid. But that's the way we are in college now.
Yeah.
You're rooting for the laundry, you know?
Yeah, these coaches are really working year round, especially this time of year with the recruiting and the transfer portal and all that stuff. But they'll get a little time off in the middle of the summer. I think that's their time off, maybe 3-4 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. So when you're watching the Super Bowl, what's your go-to snack? Is there a go-to snack for you?
Not really. Nothing particular. Not really. But I will tell you, back when Rex Grossman, he's with the Bears, and they played in the Super Bowl. I think it was in Miami that year.
Yeah, I went down there for that. Yeah.
What we used to do, my wife Jerry, we'd invite all the coaches, wives, and kids over to our house and watch the Super Bowl. And of course, usually by halftime at 8:30 or something, the kids they're ready to go home and go to school the next day. But yeah, we always had a Super Bowl get together with the coaching staff and so forth. And Rex called me. I'd called him, wished him good luck. And right before he was getting on the bus, he called me back. I said, "Thanks, Coach, for the call." And unfortunately, they lost that one.
Yep.
Was
that was a great game. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Bears, he took the Bears to the Super Bowl. That was
good. I think he's the only Florida quarterback to ever do that.
Go to the Super Bowl.
Go to Super Bowl.
He is definitely probably.
There's somebody else I'm not thinking of. All right, Coach, you got anything else for us? I mean, we're big basketball game Saturday. Florida, Texas A&M for first place in the SEC.
Yeah, that will be a good one. What time's that game?
8:30. So
8:30.
You and I both had to take naps.
Yeah. But some people ask me how close did you ever get to the Super Bowl? Well, in '72, we won the division. And Brody got hurt about third game of the year, 34, sprained his ankle pretty bad, but he was healthy toward the end of the year. So he played the game against Dallas, which was a playoff game. And we had a let's say 28-13. We had a 15-point lead with about 4 minutes left. And there was no 2 points back then. So they had to score 3 times to beat us. And I'd be dang, they scored once and kicked a field goal once. So they're onside kicking with about a minute and 15 seconds. And the ball bounced into our onside guy and went right through him. And the Cowboys recovered. And Staubach was in the game. And they scored with 30-40 seconds left. So they beat us 30-28. It ended up 30-28. And then, so I thought maybe the Cowboys would beat the Redskins the next week and get to play the Dolphins, who were undefeated in '72. And I'll be dang, the Redskins beat Dallas the next week and played Miami, undefeated team, I think in Rose Bowl. Yeah, Pasadena. Coliseum, I'm sorry, LA Coliseum. But that was as close as we ever got. And I think we could have beat Washington, but we didn't get a chance to play them. We had to beat Dallas, but it didn't work out.
Well, that's the thing. You got to win the game
Yeah.
that's in front of you, right?
That's right.
Yep.
All right, Pat. All right, my
All right,
man.
Coach.
Good
Great
talking with
talking to
you
you.
again.
We'll see you Monday.
I'm gonna go to the Lady Gator game tonight. I think we play Auburn, right? The Lady
Auburn,
Gators
right?
play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hopefully give them a little juice. They need to
They
win
need a
one.
little.
They
They
need to win
need
some close
to
ones.
finish games. They're
That's
they're
right.
in every game. They just need to finish them.
Yeah, we
Find a
got
way.
off to a good start the last game, and then just didn't do much at all after that. It was it at Vandy? It was at Vandy.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm watching the game and I'm into it, and they're doing good, and then just kind of.
You got to continue. You got to finish the thing. All right.
All right, Coach. We'll let you go. Thanks.
All right. Good talking to you, Pat. See y'all.
Talking to you. Okay, let us move along to all of our fun stuff that we like to do here in the third segment. Always great when we start out with Coach Spurrier. But let's get to our Hesser and Kipke three things. Hesser and Kipke, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipke is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke. Okay, number one on our Hesser and Kipke three things is the NCAA turning down Trinidad Chambliss yesterday. What does this mean? It means that now they're going to take it to another court in Mississippi and probably get another temporary restraining order, TORs. Now we know what they stand for. And we'll see what happens there. But, I mean, it's not over. I mean, the only reason I care, like, I would love to watch Trinidad Chambliss play another year. I'd love to watch Diego Pavia play another year. I would have loved to watch Danny Werfel play another year, or Tim Tebow another year. I mean, all those things can be true. But it doesn't mean this eligibility situation has gotten out of control, as we all know. And, you know, everybody's trying to say JUCOs don't count. You get the COVID year. Hey, look, it is what it is. It's like Coach Summerall said yesterday. I'm not smart enough to figure this stuff out. I do know that in a perfect world, they're eventually going to come around to my field of 64. And that's what's going to happen. And a 64 team super conference, and they're going to have one set of rules and whatever you want to do behind them, because you're not going to be able to afford all the things you're talking about. These are going to be the teams that have the money to compete. 64. If we want to make it 72, we'll figure that part of it out. I've got a master plan. I laid in bed last night thinking of this master plan. I'll share it with you one day. Maybe I'll share it on Patreon. At any rate, we'll see what ends up happening with him. All it means is they denied it, and they don't think he should be able to play. The NCAA doesn't. Ole Miss thinks he should. Ole Miss says he would be irreparably harmed if he doesn't play. I don't think that's true at all, but we'll see what happens there. All right, number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke three things, and that is that the Tigers got this guy who, again, I'm not a big baseball guy. I care about the Braves. I pay attention to things that happen, but I don't know a lot of the players. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not good with it. I find it to be a tedious sport at times. It is what it is. But anyway, Framber Valdez, who I know is a really good pitcher, because people tell me he is. But he signs with the Tigers, and they also they just had their arbitration hearing with Scooble, so they put those two guys together. Ooh, it's going to be pretty tough 1-2 combination. That's why it's significant to me, and it's certainly going to be interesting. The Dodgers are still going to win it all. We know that, but, you know, or at least we're putting super teams together to try to compete with them. I don't know that the Braves are going to be one of those. All right, and finally, number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke three things is that Luke Fickell just went on the hot seat again because he turned down, or he asked not to be included Or the AD said, we're not going to give you an extension. And he said, well, can I just say that I turned it down? Yeah, we'll let you say that. Believe me, all those things are possible. But he's not getting an extension of his contract, which tells you he's on the hot seat. And they look, a lot of people thought he was going to get fired last year. He didn't at Wisconsin. They said, hey, look, we're going to devote more money. We're going to get him better situation, and we're going to try to win. And if we don't, then we'll let him go. So basically, he is the coach who's firmly on the hot seat the most, in my mind. A lot of people say Kalen DeBoer, and he's on one. But to me, there's no question that Luke Fickell's number one on that hot seat, especially among Power 4 teams. Anyway, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. And we had a lot of sponges on Wednesday night. And that's why Gallo Car Wash. By the way, I'm going to Gallo Car Wash today. Now it's supposed to rain. And that was my plan to go because I got so much pollen on it. And that may be another reason I had the sinus problems. But Gallo Car Wash is a place to go to get your car washed. It's where we go. But our sponge of the week were all the amazing upsets last night. That we slept through them, and we get up this morning. We go, what in the world happened last night? And it wasn't. I mean, A&M was a 7.5-point underdog to Alabama. That wasn't one of them. But Portland beat Gonzaga last night. If you know, Gonzaga is number 6 in the country. Portland at home was the game was at Portland, but their coach, they're down to so many players that their coach had to participate on their scout team and tore his Achilles. So it was like a Ron Hunter. Remember when that year that his son hit the shot in Jacksonville in the NCAA tournament and he was on the scooter? Same kind. This guy kind of gutted it out. He never sat down. I don't even know his name. And if you can name him and the coach at Minnesota, I'll give you something. I don't know why, but I'll give you something. I had to look it up because they also had a big win. They beat Michigan State last night. His name is Medved or something like that. I have no idea who he is. Again, I don't pay a lot of attention to Big Ten basketball. So that happened. There was a course storming there. By the way, the coach's name at Portland is Shante Legons. So I just want to make sure I got his name out there. There were so many upsets last night, just crazy. And a lot of courts got stormed last night. And there were some last-minute shots. It was a fun night. And my thing was it was going to be about the one game, and that was going to be it. Texas A&M, Alabama. That was it. But I should have stayed through a lot of more games. In fact, even the Oklahoma-Kentucky game was interesting for a while. But anyway, it was a lot of soaking up some sponge because they had some unbelievable upsets in college basketball. But that's what makes it great. You know, Portland-Gonzaga, now it was a Portland home game, but that felt like one of those games where you're like, this is like an NCAA upset. But don't forget, those players are home. I will say this: when you get going on a neutral site game, the crowd is that's what they want. They're not there to see Gonzaga win. The Gonzaga fans are there to see him win. Everybody else wants them to lose because they want upsets, and that's what makes it the madness. So you get a crowd behind you. I'll never forget that Weber State crowd rooting for Weber State against North Carolina. North Carolina didn't really bring a lot of people. They were dealing with other stuff that was going on. And that place was going nuts in the middle of the night. Now, middle of the night to us, but 9 o'clock for them. Anyway, that was our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the weekend, or the week. Let's get to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the week. Brought to you by our good friends at BMI TeleMed. Achieve and maintain with your weight loss specialists. Words are not coming out of my mouth well. 727-383-1677. Tell another couple of Gator grads that Pat Dooley sent you. You get a discount on your order. It worked for me, and it will work for you. our BMI TeleMed smart move of the week was Joey Aguilar suing the NCAA and saying, I want another year. I want an 8th year. Sorry. I got a good lawyer, Thomas Mars. He's going to get the, hey, if I could have stayed in college forever, I would have. Yes. And I wasn't playing sports. If I was playing sports and getting NIL money and getting, which I'm not going to make NFL money, I wouldn't think. I don't think Joey Aguilar's that big of a prospect. He might make some. Getting NIL money, having an opportunity to play in front of 110,000 people, playing in the SEC, I don't have to pay for anything. I get food's free, all my medical's free, everything's free. If I go out into the real world, it's not free. I mean, you've got to pay for your insurance. Even if you have great insurance, you still got to pay something. My point is, if I could do that, and I almost did that. I left the University of Florida and went to my job in Fort Lauderdale, and a week into it, I was ready to come home. I said, can I get my stringing job back from Robbie? I was going to get him back from Robbie, and then I was going to come home and say, I'm just going to stay in college. I don't have to go to college. I can make enough money to live. Luckily, I talked myself out of it. Anyway, but if I was Joey Aguilar, I would make a smart move and try to get another year. Why not? We'll see if he does or not. And how this all this transfer talk is affecting the University of Florida is that Ole Miss and Tennessee are on Florida's schedule. I blanked there for a minute. Those teams are on Florida's schedule. So this is important whether they get their eligibility or not. If they don't, the backups that are going to be there are pretty good, but you know what I'm saying. All right. So we'll keep it on. TRO, temporary restraining order. Those are the initials that I never knew until this year, and now I know them very well. All right, let us move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, brought to you by our good friends Adam and Michelle over at Adams Ribco, the place to go for all your barbecue needs and for other great food, including Nana's Nuggets on Friday. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. And it is an easy one this week because there's not that many Gators who are waving a flag, walking in. And I'm wondering how many have ever. Whether, I'm trying to think of somebody who might have, but I don't know. Maybe Tracy Calkins? I'll check on that and see if I can find out. But Aaron Jackson, who went to the University of Florida and actually gave the commencement speech 2 years ago that my wife actually sent me. It was really good. And she is a speed skater and won a gold medal last year, and she is carrying the flag. She and a guy who's from the Army, DeLuca is his name. I can't tell you what sport he plays. He's bobsledder, I think. Yes. Anyway, they're carrying the flag in. I think it's tonight or tomorrow morning. It's scheduled for tomorrow morning, but I don't know if that means tomorrow morning. We'll figure out the Olympics eventually, and we'll give you those schedules. But Aaron Jackson, who last year won a gold medal, and I missed her name. I screwed her name up in my column on the back nine. I felt really bad, but I've never met her. I'd like to meet her. I'd like to get her on the podcast when she gets back. Maybe we'll work on that. How about that? Anyway, she's our Gator of the Week. All right, let us move along to our Leonardo's of Millhopper Quick Pick, and we have something for you today. It's going to be a lot of fun, all right? We're going to give you 3 prop bets, okay? All 3 of them are qualifiers. You get any of them right, you qualify. You can qualify 3 times. But more important than that is that anybody who gets all 3 right will win something. How about that? You will get, and this is courtesy of Leonardo's. And of course, Leonardo's gives us a $25 gift certificates as well that we give away every 3 weeks or so. But courtesy of Leonardo's, Kyle Cohen has gone and bought 20 shares of Patreon duly noted stock, I guess you could say. But he's bought anyway. All you have to do is, if you get all three right, however many people, it could be 5, could be 3, could be 1, could be none, you will get a month subscription to my writing on Patreon. Now, you go, well, I don't want that. Well, okay, that's fine. And some of you already have it. You go, well, I already have it. Well, okay. I mean, I'm just trying to give away things, And I think this will be really cool to do this. So you got a chance to do it. Now, I will say this. Hopefully, when you get on, you see all the great stuff that members get on patreon.com/duly noted. You will want to remain a member and stay on. But if you don't, that's fine too. You can just cancel. Anyway, so here are the 3 prop bets. Now, one's not a prop bet, and that is the game itself. Seattle -4.5 against New England. So just type in Seattle or New England or Hawks or Pats or Belichick's. Anyway, okay, that's the one. Number 2, will there be a 2-point conversion? Yes or no? It's a very simple question. And number 3, the over-under at halftime is 22.5. Are you going over it or under it? So it's very simple. And you email your answers to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. Seattle -4.5. Yes or no? Will there be a 2-point conversion? Over under 22.5 at the half. So all you got to do, if you send in to my email address, patrickdooley54@gmail.com, say you go Seattle, no, under. That's all you have to put. So this will be fun. I can't wait. I love it when we get something like this going. And I like to be writing down stats and everything like that. You know that. That's the way I am. All right. So that is our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. And we're going to do this again. Like I said, he bought 20 subscriptions. Just starting. We're going to do it more and more. In fact, when I talked to Kyle about it yesterday, I did go in there and have a duels, man, and it was awesome, as always. But he's planning on doing this every month, where he's going to give away 20 to different people. So cool. Sorry, let me adjust here. Cool. All right, so let's get to now on this, that, and the other.
What do you want? This, that, and the other.
Okay, this, that, and the other is brought to you by Notary Joe's, the place to go. Or you don't have to go there. He comes to you. Notary Joe, Joseph Newton, 863-990-4884, or notaryjoe80@gmail.com. Just get a hold of him. He'll come to you and notarize whatever you need notarized. Does a great job. Notary Joe. It is brought to you by Darshackow Insurance for all of your home, auto, and commercial and life needs. Darshackow Insurance, the place to go for that. And by the Atlanta Hustle, the South's #1 Frisbee team. We love the Atlanta Hustle, and we're gonna start keeping track of them. I think they're getting ready to start. By the way, we talked about the Learner, and again, the Atlanta Hustle is brought to you by Learner Law. Talked about the Learner Law team of the week last week, and about how the Fiesta Bowl had invited Florida flag football team, women's flag football team, to play in their Fiesta Bowl. They're having a big tournament with like 8 teams and everything. I think USC, Arizona State, some of the teams that are out there. And they asked the Texas AD, would you think about having a team like that? And he goes, no. He's write us a check for $15 million. Well, look, I can't think that the women's flag football team here at Florida is getting $15 million, but maybe it's a lucrative business to go into. I don't know. But anyway, I thought I'd mention that. All right, so this is a long time ago in a place not far away. I was concerned about Florida's status and during basketball season with the net ranking. This was about 2 or 3 weeks into the season, and I'm like, man, their net ranking's 54, and I wrote about it in my back nine, I think it was. And I get a call from Jeremy Foley, who called me often for good things and to give me a hard time. But he said, Duels, you got to let this net thing go. You got to let RPI and all these things, you got to let them go. They don't mean anything right now. Don't worry about it until the last week of the season. That's when you need to worry about it. I said, okay. That's the this. The that is, I can't stop. I'm addicted to the net. I look at it every day. I look at it on days when I know it hadn't changed. Because I want Florida to get in the tournament. I want them to be as high as possible. Last year I was all worried. I think they get a 1 seed and they win the whole thing. So again. But have I looked at it 4 times this week? Yes, I have. Okay. But the other is as follows. I think I can lay off it for a while because I looked at it one day and Florida had 5 quad 1 wins. And I looked at it a couple days later and they were down to 3. Now they're back to 4. And I'm like, Pat, lay off the net. The net is a fluid machine. And eventually it'll land on a spot and then we'll know what Florida's net is. So I am going to, since I violated every other one of my New Year's resolutions, I'm going to start a new one, which is I'm not going to look at the net until 2 weeks are left in the season. 2 weeks. It's going to be my deal. Okay. So Jeremy, you should be happy. All right. Let us move along to our Los Landeros smooth move of the weekend or the week, brought to you by Los Landeros Tequila. Go beyond with Los Landeros Tequila. We appreciate them. It's the favorite tequila of Urban Meyer and me. Let us get to our smooth move of the week, and that was Matthew Kress. Florida played in a big tournament this weekend up at Jacksonville. It's the Seabest. Tight. And it was cold and tight, and it was really hard. And Matthew Kress shot, not only shoots 6 under, he birdied the last hole to win it. How about that for a smooth move? You birdie the last hole to win a tournament, they should at least think about a statue. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Matthew Kress is our Los Landeros smooth move of the week. Let us move along to our mark guy that presents the 12. And here's what we're going to give you on the 12 real quick. We're running out of time here. We're going to give you the teams I think can win it all right now, the 12 teams. Number 1, Houston. I think Houston, you see what they did to UCF last time? I watched some of that game. It was bad. Number 2, UConn. UConn is just blitzing everybody. 3, Arizona. Yeah, I like Arizona. 4, Michigan. 5, Duke. 6, Michigan State, despite their loss last night. 7, Florida. I have Florida in there. A lot of people wouldn't say Florida because of the guard play. I think it's getting better, and I think they'll be fine. 8, Illinois. 9, Texas A&M. I still like that Texas A&M team a lot. 10, Kansas. 11. The Kansas is in there because I think they have good enough players, and they've got one. If he can stay healthy, they got one elite player. 11, Iowa State, and 12, Texas Tech, even though Texas Tech is not a good rebounding team. Finally, let us move along, and that's Mark Guy that presents a 12 by Pepin Realty, to our Swamp Games of the Week. And we'll start with Florida Gymnastics. It's brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant, where everybody goes to watch everything that's out there, and we love it. Florida Gymnastics, Friday night, 9 o'clock if you stay up for it, ESPN2. The basketball schedule is not great this weekend, to be honest with you. Duke, North Carolina, 6:30 on ESPN. Saturday, of course, the Gator game is at 8:30, again, on the SEC networks against A&M. I was trying to look at, Duke, North Carolina, I mentioned. Illinois, Mississippi State, or Michigan State might be a good one. 8 o'clock on Fox. Tennessee, Kentucky, ESPN at 8:30. So you need the 2 TVs going. The Waste Management is going on all week and weekend. It's 3:30 to 7:30 on the Golf Channel Friday. But then they go, it's 12 to 3 on Saturday and Sunday, but they go to CBS from 3 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday, leading right up to the Super Bowl, which is at 6:30. We all know that. And you also have the Olympics are going on ESPN and all kinds of channels and everything. You guys know how to deal with that. It's if you're into the Winter Olympics, look, it's something I'll watch a little bit of, but not a lot of. These are sports I'm not familiar with. It's not that we don't play these sports in Florida, so it's the way it is. So, all right. It's time to get out of here. Appreciate Zach for doing a great job. And believe me, you guys have no idea behind the scenes all the work he's got to do. And appreciate our great guest today. And we'll be back with another show on Monday with Coach Spurrier. Until then, I am Pat Dooley saying I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.